Hey everyone, welcome to Office Hours with Cloud Posse, where we discuss the latest DevOps news, AWS announcements, and Terraform insights, all sourced from our sweetops community, plus a live Q&A you can't find anywhere else. It's February 4th, 2026. I'm your host, Eric Osterman. Real quick, I'm the founder and CEO of Cloud Posse. Cloud Posse sells reference architectures that get you production ready in just 2 weeks. We do that using Terraform and Atmos, which is our framework for IAC. So if you're interested to learn more about that, head over to cloudposse.com. So how can you maximize today's session? First off, our format is informal. You can engage as much as you'd like, ask questions, and if you're curious about any of our open source tools like Atmos, this is a great place to ask. And for those in the recording, we host these calls live. Don't miss out. Join us by going to cloudposse.com/office hours, where you can just enter your email and get an invite to our weekly event. So I do have one ask. If you find any portion of today's session valuable, go ahead and share it with your team. Head over to youtube.com/cloudposse, where we'll post the recording in just a few hours. So with that said, let's get into discussion of the current news for the past week. So one of the things that we use a lot at Cloud Posse are GitHub Actions and workflows. If you've ever used them, though, you'll quickly get frustrated that there was no easy way to do conditionals. You could just do an if, but you couldn't do if else. So you had to come up with some logical hoops to get around that. And we've been doing that for a while, but now it's a first class concept. Not that I love the expression syntax, but you can embed it inside of their template syntax, a conditional now. Let's see here. Here's the case function. So they introduced it as a function. That means you can use it throughout your YAML workflows. Let's see, was there anything else? They also made it a little bit easier to understand, apparently, how the expression gets evaluated. There's a viewer now that lets you show it. I can't see where. Yeah, some more context there. All right, so that was that. Let's see what else.
Seems like a nice improvement. I know a while back you had to do if something was true because between Boolean and strings, I forget which one, but it just couldn't handle it. So you had to like write if true, which is just a weird thing to write.
Yeah. Yeah. Booleans are a messy topic. Historically in Terraform, not so much anymore, but still, yeah, messy and YAML, especially when you introduce templating. So. So the next one here is interesting. So Codex, playing catch up with Cloud Code, is trying to make it easier for local development. And if you've been using Cloud Code much, there's a kind of pattern that's emerged amongst a lot of tools that lets you run multiple Git workspaces, Git work trees basically in parallel, and command your agent workforce to get at it. I haven't had a chance to play with it yet. However, I installed it and it looked identical to Conductor, which is the other thing that I really like that supports both Codex, Cloud Code, and I forget which other models, but the one I like is the one I always talk about, conductor.build. So it looks very similar to this, just opening it up where you have the workspaces here on the side. And that's the thing these days, man. Good ideas are so cheap because everyone just can point their AI at whatever cool thing and it'll build it. So, like software is there's no moat anymore. Has anyone been playing yet with the new Codex app for macOS? Yeah, this is it. All right, next step would be just a small one. I always think these are kind of interesting. You know that the meme, the XKCD meme, the whole internet depends on some small software maintained by a developer in Omaha. This is that, and it's sudo. The same developer apparently has been maintaining sudo for the past 30 years. This was trending on Hacker News. This is where I saw it. And that is interesting because I didn't think about this when I posted that. I'm going to go a little bit out of order here, but it's interesting because Chainguard came out with their open source stewardship program, where critical pieces of open source that gets abandoned or just doesn't have the maintenance that it needs anymore, they're taking stewardship over. And one of those examples is now Ingress Nginx. So they're not committing to evolving the product roadmap, but they're committing to making sure any CVEs in these critical pieces of open source infrastructure are resolved. And if you've been following along, the Kubernetes organization has come out to say that Ingress Nginx support is ending any day now. Um, this is, of course, the fork. So their forks are in this Chainguard forks GitHub organization. And that's where you can also therefore see the projects they've taken in, some of the projects they've taken in under their stewardship. Now, kube-apps is an interesting one. They started with that, but SAP has stepped up and they're going to take over stewardship of kube-apps, which was one of the first like GUI self-service dashboards for Kubernetes used in enterprises and so forth. But Minio, if you recall, that was another announcement on office hours. We talked about they've discontinued support more or less for the open source version, which was already, I think, AGPL or something, but now they're focused strictly on their enterprise or paid version, which I can understand, but a lot of companies depend on that. So they're taking over some stewardship of that. Minio being the kind of self-hosted S3. And Canico, I didn't know they took over that too, which was the building Docker images inside of Kubernetes. So Chainguard keeps popping up for me. Weren't they the ones that found the Claude bot exploit, like their database was wide open and reported that? Or was that Wiz? That might have been Wiz. All right, so that was that. kube-apps archived. We covered that, taken over there. Speaking of archives, Cloud Posse, we have updated our archive for our community. This was separately hosted on a old static site for a long time, but lots of changes in the Slack API and changes to their retention policies meant that we had to take another stab at overhauling this. So now, when you go to Cloud Posse's archive, we have the last 8 or 9 years of Slack archives available here. Um, and dusted that off. We also made it easy. If you know you were just looking for a link in the channel, we made it easy to just filter for all the links that were shared. And something I'm playing around with, I'm not sure yet if it's going to be that helpful, is for visual people. If you want to see any of the images or like the visual view of all the links that have been shared to find the thing that you were trying to look for. So we made that. Plus, since we share all the office hours links, all these links that we talk about, we always share in the Slack channel afterwards, in addition to the recordings. So this makes it easy to go back and reference the things that we've talked about here in previous weeks. So if you have some catching up to do, check out our Slack archives. Any questions on that before we move on? All right.
I think you skipped a few. I don't think we
Yeah.
talked about skills.sh.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. I was thinking the same thing. I'm just gonna jump right back into that. One thing that's been popping up in my feed a lot is skills. I think they've become the hub for where you publish your skills in a reusable way and easily install them with just npx skills add. This is exciting because I think this is what's made, most ecosystems survive, from Docker and Docker Hub and NPM, of course, and that registry, and the list goes on with every major language. So skills are are an open standard now. And this is, I'm not sure what the relationship is with skills.sh, and was it agent? There's the official spec. I forget what it was. Yeah, agentskills.io. This is the formal spec that every AI tool is now tapping into, whether it's Codex or Claude Code, where a lot of this originated. This is good because it really sucks to have like 5 different skill definitions in your repos, depending on who's using it, and they're out of sync and so forth. So I'm really happy to see the industry is consolidating on this. That said, does anyone know if, like, can you configure Claude to look outside of .claude and tell Claude to use agents.md instead of claude.md? I haven't researched kind of migrating into this open standards here.
I feel like I've seen Claude Code use agents MD.
Okay.
Yeah, I asked Claude a while back, what files does it look at to read? And it's supposed to support it. All of them are supposed to support agents.md. Whether or not they actually do, or whether it prioritizes claude.md, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. Well, for what it's worth, the issue is still open. So, but to your point, I think you can say, "Hey, Claude, look at agents.md." But that doesn't solve my problem of having all those files in the repo. So that was that, which brings me to this, which I thought was interesting, which was a skill. I think this is a paradigm that's going to be more prevalent, that every tool released will come with its set of skills, which is basically a document's a tool, let's face it, but to make usage and adoption easier. And this is an example of that. Similarly, if you listen to the interview with, I don't know, I forget his name, the OpenClaw, aka Moltbot, aka CloudBot, creator, he was saying, I think something similar about, a CLI first approach, writing a CLI for everything you want to do, and then just let your AI be the orchestrator. This is in line with that. So why is this interesting? So this piggybacks on the LGTM CLI, which knows how to talk to Loki, Prometheus, Grafana, Tempo, to make it a lot easier to triage issues. I'm sure there's other tools like this, but this was the one that caught my attention. So that was that. Cover that. Okay, last one that I caught my attention this past week as we zip through these was the Graft, which is a new CLI that takes this overlay approach that Kustomize popularized and tries to adapt that conceptually to Terraform. I confess I have not jumped on the Kustomize train. The way you express that is not clear to me. But then again, we have a tool called Atmos that is, perfect for me and confusing to others. So I think that, if you like the Kustomize approach, overlaying configs in that way and applying that to Terraform, this could be interesting. It's also, the other interesting thing they talk about is patching. So this is a great way that you can just in time patch, therefore, Terraform that you don't own. Another popular use case for Kustomize, especially like it's been natively integrated into Helm file, is if you're like deploying Helm charts and you need to patch those on demand. to add. Like one of the most common things that is missing from a lot of Helm charts will be annotations or ingress annotations and things like that. So if you need to patch it to add those, this is how you can do it. I guess you could say this is kind of taking that approach for Terraform. Similar to maybe a formalized way of doing overrides in Terraform. Oh, this is cool. So this makes it less abstract here. So here we have a resource in pure Terraform. Let's look at what the Graft does. Okay. So it's in HCL and it lets you, it extends the definition with this custom block called override. So this is what it's patching or changing. That's kind of cool. I like it. What do you think, Ben?
It seems kind of like I guess I need to look into it more, but it seems like it's like a just how is it different from just a Terraform overrides? You can override
Well,
like specific keys
yeah.
or
Wasn't it changing the module itself? Like it was changing a resource inside the module?
oh, I see.
Yeah, that's interesting. Exactly. You can't patch modules with overrides in Terraform, only things in the root module.
Well, I
Thank
mean,
you
you
for picking up.
can. It's just evil to do so because you can always do Terraform init and then just go into the .terraform
Well,
modules
yeah,
directory
yeah.
and change the code.
Yeah,
So it's kind of, I think
okay.
that's what
You
they're
can
doing
always
here.
disassemble the binary and make it do whatever you want it to do. But yeah. But yeah, this is making that for like the Terraform overrides was a first class support in Terraform, but like you're saying, Jeremy, you could go into the initialized version of it.
This, it just seems that this has fewer foot guns, is
Yeah,
what I'm thinking.
yeah. I like it. And it's declarative. And you know, I would say if you find yourself needing to do too much of this, that's probably a red flag, but I totally get needing escape patches and monkey patching and the use case for it. All right, cool. We'll share the links afterwards here if anyone wanted that. Let's see here. Any chat? Nope, nothing in the chat. All right, that's all I got. Any interesting things come across your desks this past week?
Well, you did mention Kustomize and Graft, and I'm just remembering, wasn't there supposed to be something else people had made to compete with Kustomize? I'm just drawing
Oh
a
yeah.
blank.
Pro.
What? Well, there's was not ACK, not
Crow. KRO.
KRO. Yes, thank
Crow.
you, Yves.
Yeah.
Yeah, Crow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, because I've
Crow
used
is
Kustomize in the past. I was curious if anybody had tried it out.
I've started to look at it. It's very appealing. I've used mostly Customize in my work. I'm not super keen on Helm for organizations that are just packaging their own app.
I think that's the distinction.
Yeah, I've been mostly using Customize, but Crow is appealing because then you could provide just smaller configs in app repos that you could just then smash into your bigger configs so you can expose certain aspects of your manifests to the app developers. So I kind of like that aspect. But I
And
haven't
just to
used it.
be clear, it's KRO, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just thought I would. I'll throw the link in here. But yeah, please continue. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's all good. I was done. But yeah, it seems to be the kind of the new way of doing things. So it seems similar to Crossplane where you can create these new custom manifests in a different schema. And it looks appealing, but I haven't played around with it. Maybe I'll
Yeah,
do
so
that.
that's what I think is so elegant with where this has finally come. And I was excited about the capabilities announced for EKS at reInvent, which was taking KRO with ACK, so Amazon
Yeah.
controllers for Kubernetes.
Yeah.
And now, and then managed Argo CD. And now you have a really nice deployment story for
Yeah.
packaging and shipping apps you control at least.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to, well, so I think one of the things that Helm still has going for it is the distribution mechanism, right? So it's kind of like I could, yeah, don't quote me on this, but I could still see one wrapping Crow into a Helm chart for distribution. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it hurts my
I just, I
mind
just
to say that one would
I
do
just
that.
don't see it like that it makes sense to be used within an organization just because it's like if you need to provide your software to someone else, like when I worked at Mapbox, we built Atlas, which is a way to run Mapbox in your own uh,
Hmm.
kind of classified networks. So that was a good way to use. We used Helm then, and then you can just give folks um, one package, and they can deploy it in an environment. But within an organization, I haven't really found the reason why you would use Helm. I really like the way Kustomize and Crow works. Then you could kind of piecemeal have smaller configs for the engineers or the teams, and then you could smash them together to create the
Yeah,
actual. So you have varying degrees of control there. But yeah.
yeah, I agree. Cool. Anything else to add to this? All right. What else was interesting this past week? Let's see. Got some chat going on. Oh, answers for AWS. Let's see. What is this?
It's a an annual survey that's conducted. It's not. It doesn't appear to be super in depth or insightful, but I thought I'd pass it along. It was from the Duckbill last week at AWS Slack. It closes tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So this is done by an individual who is an AWS builder.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it. All right. It's strange not to see a vibe coded looking site these days. This looks hand coded. Um, all right. What else we have in the chat here? Oh yeah, kro.run. Okay.
As an aside, I'm looking for an article that's official, but I guess Moltbook kind of careened sideways. So that was kind of an entertaining thing to read
Yeah, well,
about.
but it's still a thing, right? Or has it shut down? No.
Well,
Yeah.
the problem was is that it was revealed to be just really insecure to the
Hmm.
point that you could impersonate anybody, anything. So at
Yeah,
least
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
I had heard was that it was actually one of those things where now it's mostly regarded as being filled with well, just ads now. People are using it to advertise.
This is why we can't have good things. Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, it was
Yeah, and it's cryptocurrency people doing most of the ads. It's just very also just kind of like, oh,
yeah, and
I'm
having the
trying to find
bots
an
do it.
article that summarizes it.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember this was came out over the past week, I believe. I think the whole database was public or something, or they were somehow able to access it. Yeah, it was embarrassing, including like API keys. It's yeah.
I guess here's a Wired article. It's not my favorite, but it'll do.
Yeah, I'll share this. Oops. Where did my check go?
But there you go. So let that be a reminder to anybody if you ask even the largest swarm of AI agents, make sure you ask them to secure what they're building.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you need like yeah the adversarial kind of agents that are work have different uh, responsibilities. One being for security and penetration testing.
Well, they did have evil souls, so maybe they just didn't use enough evil souls.
Yeah, yeah. Or the evil souls won out. Oops. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that was interesting news. And Molt is now obviously renamed to OpenClaw. So if you're staying on that. And it was crazy. Apparently, when they rebranded from Open Claude to Mo- um, briefly Moltbot, uh, some uh, crypto scammers quickly squatted the domain and launched a meme coin on it that apparently went up to a few million or something. Cool. Anything else we can discuss today on office hours? Any challenges?
I'm just curious to hear what if folks are playing around with Cloud Code and what they're building, and as a bigger discussion, just curious to hear about how folks think this whole um, AI movement is going to change our platform DevOps world. Like I can see how things are changing when you're building apps, coding. So like I've been playing around um, building these weird apps where you can I built one using the Voynich API where you could call in and tell I had Claude running in an EC2 and you could talk to it over the phone and it would you could tell it to change the style of the website and the website would refresh like in the
Really?
browser, which was kind of cool. But I'm
But
just
that was not
wondering,
related to Moltbot?
no. So I'm just curious to hear what folks are building, what they're playing around with, and how they see this whole AI thing changing or kind of DevOps slash platform space. Because
Yeah.
yeah, it kind of resets everything, I feel. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just curious to if this is the right place to ask.
Yeah, before I chime in, anyone want to jump in and talk about this first?
Well, I can say something quick. I've definitely continued to beat on the drum of using AI tooling as just that, a tool. And I find that especially going through APIs, anything where you can point a large document and sed and awk and grep and all these other basic command line tools at it. In general, I found that tools like OpenCode or Claude Code will help me just go through all the different changes, say in an API or checking services, checking logs, sanity stuff like that, where I can assume that it's not going to make a lot of decisions. It's just going to come back with information. So I definitely think that that has been one of the biggest things to accelerate my workflows. And seeing stuff like skills come out is just a way of maturing a lot of those prompts, a lot of those different guidelines. So I think it's still very young. I think everything is still
Hmm.
there's lots of room for you to chime in if you think that somebody's not doing things right, or if you see something you probably should go ahead and contribute. I think that's where we are before things iron out.
So what I feel like it's done is change. Well, right. So, your question is like, what are we all working on? We're all working on the same things, replicating all that thing we wanted to have without buying it. And it's kind of it's like the ultimate software replicator, like in Star Trek, where you can just like reproduce, I don't know, this fan or something if you wanted to. Now it hasn't come to the point of 3D printing yet, though it'd be interesting to hear if anybody's connected their Claude bot to a 3D printer. We're getting closer to it. But my point is like, and this is why I shared this link in the chat here that caught my attention. Now, I mean, this is a headline grabbing article why software stocks are getting pummeled, and I think there is a agenda behind the article, and what is pointing out. But I think it'd be naive to say this isn't what's going on because I know for a fact that we're doing that. We canceled our HubSpot contract after 8 years or something because it just didn't make sense to continue spending $3,500 a month on that software. And I still have to spend all that effort to integrate this SaaS with this SaaS with this SaaS when it's so much easier to prompt your way to a solution that solves your actual problem, which gets me to where I think things might be headed in some way. So The the universal truth in life is we all got problems. Those are not going away. We're just going to have problems at different levels. And what we want are solutions to our problems and outcomes. But it used to be that you could just put some software together and sell that, and somebody would subscribe to it. Now, there will always be some market for that, of course, but within certain, with people with means or enterprises with means or companies with means, they don't necessarily need to buy that anymore. And I think that's what's so scary right now is that you see all it's just like Y Combinator and the similar ones. They're just like spewing SaaS companies out like there's no stop. But anyone I mean, from a technology standpoint, not execution, but technology standpoint can replicate a lot of that. And it's so there's so the landscape is just now so littered with SaaS and weekend projects and quick things that get spun up. But now the economics of what used to make a software company work are being tested to begin with. So that's what scares me about it. We're going to find a way out of it, but it's not going to be what we thought it was today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so I've been feverishly there's been like a million things I've wanted to get accomplished with Atmos, our framework for IAC, and it's enabled us or me to spend my nights and weekends feverishly hacking away on that. But then
Yeah.
also on the business side, operationalizing things that we had cobbled together with 15 different SaaS services that never really quite worked well. And Paul, before we joined the call, I think so we have a new invite system at Cloud Posse for office hours. And previously, I'd cobbled a bunch of things together with Zapier, a inline Python little script that generated an ICS file and then sent that out on sign up. But we had no database of who had signed up. And then we had that, connecting to Zapier, not to Zoom, and adding office hours members to the Zoom invite. And then that invite expired and I lost everyone. So then we moved it over to Google Groups, and I orchestrated some way of getting everything into Google Groups and adding the Google invite to the Google group and getting it, but that spammed people with 100 invites per person that joined. I was just insane. And I am so tired of having to stitch these systems together. So I understand now if there's kind of a SaaS backlash, and that's that's how I see for companies with technical means to leverage this, to build that software for their company, for how they operate, like the operating system for your company.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like these SaaS could be almost turned into just an MCP. And UI is like you could have no UI. UI is generated on the fly. Like show me my sales for the last month, or I want to add this thing, and it just like pops up and you just like fill it out. So you don't have to like have any static anything. It just kind of rolls out as you need it. Yeah, there's so many.
It definitely changes the need for certain one-off things. And you're right that, if you have the CLIs or the MCPs, you can get a lot of that information you need. But I am not convinced that that is like the UI is dead. We don't need that anymore. For the same reason that a lot of people, what they're doing, like when they use CloudBot, the first thing they have, build me my workflow dashboard or my what do you call it? Like what NASA has, like a master control plane kind of. So you
Yeah.
see everything going on in your Kanban style. You know what
Yeah.
tasks are being worked. So you need some way to visualize these things. And similarly, like your example there, like what are the sales last month, or which channels do we see declining? I think that's great things to be able to interrogate and get fast answers that would have been painful to do before. But I still want a wallboard. I still want to see my KPIs. I still want to have that information. I just don't need to have the SaaS for it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. I want to talk about that. And if somebody can tell me what Kimmy is, that's been coming up in my feed as well. Yves, what else? What have you been hacking away on? Anything else?
So today I've been wanting to play around with I work a lot in the Kubernetes space as well, so I've been wanting to do Kelsey Hightower Kubernetes from scratch, but on
No.
AWS. So
Is
I just
someone still
asked.
maintaining that?
I'm not sure, but I wanted to do it on AWS, so it's completely different, and there's nothing out there for that. So I asked Claude Code to stand up uh, Kubernetes from scratch using Terraform for infra and Ansible for configuration. And yeah, it's working. I just started this morning and it's working, and it's uh yeah,
It,
done beautifully. Like it's just like all the code is just so well documented and laid out. It's just kind of beautiful piece of work.
it's really funny to me how the hard way was meant to be hard, and then you're laying on Cloud Code on top of the hard way, so now it's easy. It's kind of like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
mood
So
ringer.
yeah, I'm after this call, I'm gonna start experimenting. Like it's working. I can hit the control plane right now, but
Mhm.
I'm just curious to see. Yeah, I just like the way it's for an organization when I come in as a consultant. Like there's so many disparate, like all these different repos that are done differently, and that's what I find is really hard to keep everything kind of similar. I feel like if we could do it right, having an agent that kind of uh, create creates the same style across all the code base as like almost like a middleware
Yeah.
would make things but that's the thing that's hard now is because it's not idempotent. Like you could ask it to do something one day and the next day it would do it differently. We don't have a sense of
Yeah.
versioning right now to say I want to run this on this version of the model. That makes it hard. But even that, everything, so you have to hard code everything in your skills to be able to kind of steer the model in the right way. But yeah,
But this is my problem with the state of IAC today, but I feel sometimes like it's not universally held. And let me explain. At least from my experience, and there are going to be contradictions all around, but working in like the UI space, which I've spent a lot of time lately, I've been impressed by how effective and how consistent the solutions are, like working with Next.js, working with Vercel, and so forth. And what I argue is the reason is multiple. Is A, it's leveraging a lot of point solutions, so open source packages and things like that. Each one of those have themselves been blessed by a human and work consistently in some way. So we're building on the backs of other things. Two, it's in a framework. Frameworks add consistency. I think AI loves consistency. And this is the problem that when so much IAC is implemented in all these organizations, it's treated instead like a snowflake. It's like if every new JavaScript project out there didn't start with React, didn't start with Next.js or some comparable framework, and said, give me the solution in vanilla JavaScript, it will be a SHIT show. It'll just be all over the place, right? No consistency. And that's why I argue what we have built with Atmos, which, obviously this is my pedestal here, but Atmos is our framework for infrastructure as code that isn't tied only to Terraform. It is a way to think about infrastructure. It's a way to model it. It's a way to organize it. It's a way to configure it. And it's proven so effective for us in our own usage of Claude skills and Claude code on a daily basis to get consistent infrastructure and consistent configurations because we have this exceptionally documented solution on how to do everything. And that's what AI likes. And
yeah,
that's what infrastructure organizations are lacking in
yeah,
enterprise and so forth.
yeah. Opinions as a service, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like
Opinions as a skill.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I feel that um, folks bring to a job. And I'm going through interviews right now, and it's like it's pretty hard out there right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of all over the place, and folks don't necessarily interview about your opinions. And I feel that's the most important part if you want to be a leader in an engineering org. They mostly, want to know about your behaviors and how you behave in certain ways, and then give you all these leak code tests anyways, yeah, opinions are, yeah,
Yeah.
are, and I agree. Like for me, the opinions wrapped in Atmos and Cloud Posse, you can't go wrong. Like you have like there's no risk. It's like been so well thought of, and it scales, and you get security out of the get-go. Um, and I've had to still have to I had to try and convince folks, and I wasn't even able to, and I was like, I don't understand why
I
you don't
understood.
understand this. Like it's so easy. You're gonna do
Yeah.
your own thing, and then someone else comes in, a new engineer, and they're gonna want to do it a different way. If you adopt
Exactly.
someone else's opinion that's been proven, it's just gonna it's gonna maintain, it's gonna be resilient, and it's gonna last forever. But because you're adopting opinions instead of taking the opinions of the people who are there now, which I feel is
Yeah.
like one of the biggest flaws in our industry right now. There's just so many out there.
Oh, tell me about
And as if that
it.
doesn't make it hard enough, half of the reason as well that everybody's using things like Terraform is so that, oh, and now we need to move our platform to a different cloud, or oh, now we need to change this platform completely, but we need to keep as much as possible. And it's
Yeah.
just that as well as the industry shifts in technology. I mean, we already know how RAM prices have gone. You know that this is just like those sorts of things shake out in strange changes to infrastructure, and you might find that, oh, well, now we want to move all this stuff over here to like dev.exe.dev or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Have people played around with Forma? I'm curious.
Oh, I saw it promoted. Oh, and then that reminds me of something else.
Because
But
yeah, Terraform, like it's a pain. It can be a pain in the ass if you do it wrong. You can still be a pain in the ass if you do it right. But I
that's an
find
understatement.
there's nothing else out there. Like you can automate everything. Like you can automate all your SaaS products or most of them, anyways, using Terraform. And now it's even easier to create your own providers with AI. I was playing with Vonage, so I'm curious to ask Claude. That's another project I have going on this week is just to ask it to create a provider for Vonage, and I'm just curious to see what it looks like. Um, but like when something else like Forma comes out, um, yeah, I'm curious how long it's going to take for it to get traction or if it has already. I'm not sure.
so looking at this, I'm exactly at the same point that I was last time. And if anybody knows the guys here, looking at this, I have no idea what it does. I have no idea what it looks like. I have no idea what my outcome as a user will be. I don't know how it relates to Terraform. I don't know how it relates to CDK. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Um, can you fill me in?
I again, it's one of those things I want to play around with to get some better understanding on what it is, just to be able to know, I've been in this industry for 20 years, and every time something else comes out, like I remember the time when like Grunt.js came out, and then there's Gulp, and there's all these different like JavaScript task tooling. At some point, you just have to pause and say like, okay, I'm gonna wait until that's what I did with Kubernetes. I waited for like a couple of years to see, okay, and then I was like, yeah, this is gonna be here to stay. So then I jump on the bandwagon, and that's the same thing. And then I've done the same thing with crossplay, and I haven't really jumped on that yet, just because I played around with it a year ago, and I still felt like it was rough around the edges. But with this AI movement now, I feel like they're going to have um, a lot more traction because they'll be able to create all the features in the product that have been missing quite rapidly. So I think that's going to really change in the next little bit. But again, it's going to be hard for folks to transition from Terraform unless you're greenfield and you have a lot of say and confidence in, let's say, Forma. Yeah,
I'm
but
wondering,
I do want to play around with it to see.
I'm
Uh,
wondering with AI and how all the context. I mean, I'm wondering if eventually Terraform will itself be replaced with just README files. I mean, this is like maybe an extreme view of the future, but it's like, well, if AWS keeps publishing MCPs for, here's how you use each and every AWS service, your entire infrastructure could be just documented as a README of we have this S3 bucket for this
yeah, yeah,
this these security controls. And
yeah.
You say,
Yeah.
instead of Terraform plan, it'd be like Claude, make sure my README is what's deployed.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
really
yeah.
puts a different spin on WikiOps. I
Yeah.
meant it to be a insult when I used WikiOps before, but uh,
Like, I don't know. Like if that's that, I mean, that's like an extreme view of where it could be going,
yeah.
but I mean, it could be WikiOps
with
as
I
with
think
AI.
so. With some, there has to be something imperative somewhere that to Vez's point earlier, like it needs to be idempotent, right? So every single time you run, it's the same thing. But you can have it like, produce something that is imperative, and that's where I see us still like. This is why I'm still bullish on what we do with Atmos, still bullish on infrastructure as code more so than ever because now you don't have to stick with the mundane minutia of writing the freaking HCL, which nobody liked to do except for masochists, anyways. But we still have an imperative artifact that we can deploy, and I think that's good. So that brings me to system initiative, and I'm really sad to say that they are shutting down their offer and pivoting hard. Hopefully, if you're running on there, you know that in 2 days it's getting shut off. So I just saw some rumblings of this through LinkedIn, and I looked it up recently and saw that this was happening. So it is interesting. It makes sense that they would be pivoting in some way to what's next for AI native infrastructure automation, and there's definitely opportunities there if you have the funding. All right. Let me say, yeah. Good topics, Yves. Anything else you've been thinking of?
Yeah, I'm just glad I finally joined. I signed up for this probably like a year ago, and this is the first one I joined. So
Was it the new invite that worked?
yeah, maybe it is. Yeah, yeah, it was just easy. Clicked on it, and yeah, I remember seeing all the invites coming in the, I think it was like the 1st of January or something. Like I got like spam. It was like 20
You did
emails.
get
That was,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. That was the thing. So I think we lost a lot of
Oh, really?
people just by the spam from Google invites.
Well,
So
the Great Reset. Oh,
yeah, the Great
can
Reset.
reference this date in the future.
Oof.
So,
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I just
follow.
wondered if anybody had used Kilo CLI since it was
oh,
launched at
right, 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 right.
1.0.
This was this thing. So Kilo is an all-in-one agentic engineering platform. So,
It looks identical to open code from the video. So I know that I was like, well, can't go on the video.
but is it a CLI? Or is okay, similar to OpenCode. Gotcha. When you said that, I was thinking Codex, since we just talked about that, but OpenCode, got it.
So I'm curious to hear what folks are using for like a coding agent because I initially started I had been using VS Code for a while and then I switched to Zed. Um, and I'm not too sure how these things are integrated, but if I use agent panel in Zed, it doesn't have all the slash commands that I have if I run Claude CLI. So I think there
Yeah.
needs to be that IDE needs to be updated for the latest
Yeah,
versions. Is that how it works?
I dropped off of using Zed for something like that. I like Zed in general. Just
Yeah.
using the search and replace as a as an example is like an incredible tool in that
Yeah.
editor. But yeah,
Yeah, I just like the simplicity. So and then I tried Cursor, but I went back to Zed, but I'm just using the CLI right now. Seems to be work fine. It just takes up a terminal, but yeah, I'm just curious.
The new Kilo.
Yeah.
yeah. It really looks like they're just demoing open code, but I'm guessing that they have some agent stuff in there. And I guess I should ask if anybody has used any of those other, like say Pocket Framework or any of the others that let you write your own agents. I'm hopeful that there's going to be something to be better than just pre-packaged agents. It
I've
still
been
feels like everybody a Pocket Flow, yeah.
Yeah, I've been
Because I'm
playing around
still,
with strands a bit.
yeah.
Strands is like the AWS agent workflow orchestration framework built on top of Bedrock.
Okay.
I hadn't
Yeah.
seen it.
Not Kiro? This is something separate from that?
Oh, um,
No, or Yves, you're not talking about
What's that?
Kiro, right? What,
No, Strands.
how do you spell it?
Strands. Strands, like a strand of a
Oh,
rope.
strands.
Trans agents, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I haven't seen this either.
They have a TypeScript SDK, but it's not fully fledged yet. So I've been using the Python one. So
everything just turns into Python in this for LLMs.
yeah, yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's like other than TypeScript or JavaScript, I think it's the other or Bash. It's the other language that's pretty good to know for data stuff.
Yeah, it was AWS CLI Bash. Um, I thought that was pretty embarrassing. I don't know if I can find it fast enough. They came out with a whole library of like Bash scripts, like a framework of Bash scripts for using the AWS CLI. I'm all like, oh no. I hope that's not where we're headed. But maybe it's just a way to train AIs on how to use the AWS CLI.
Have any of you used I've been using this Bash CLI skeleton utility called Bashly. Just
No.
curious if anyone's used it. Sure.
I've looked at it. I've used something that was built with it, and I thought it was neat, but I
Yeah.
didn't get deeper into it. I wanted
Yeah.
to integrate it with sort of the charm bracelet stuff.
Okay, yeah. It's I've used it because like I feel building CLIs doesn't make sense to use the typed language like Python or JavaScript because you're just running other shell commands. But I really like, yeah, I've used this in a few projects and yeah, it's something I really feel like makes a lot of sense.
I would recommend if you've never used FZF with Claude, Claude is very good at FZF.
At
I've
what?
been using FZF. I can link that. It's basically a fuzzy finder that's just
Okay.
you have to install, but it has Z shell auto completions that are really, really good. So I use that a lot when I'm working with AWS now because I just say, "Hey Claude, I'd like to have an FZF script that just lets me pick out any broken ECS containers and just give me the logs," and it
Okay.
just
Oh
makes
wow.
a very fast sort of CLI with FZF.
Yeah.
I've been surprised, and they're usually like 5 lines or 7 lines of code because it's just knows how to do it in a very nice terse bash manner.
Yeah.
But sorry,
Huh.
I'm talking when I should be grabbing the. I think it's just going to be on GitHub is the easiest way to get it.
We've been using Gum a lot, which is pretty nice, similar. Gives you all those missing things to create nice interactive shell scripts if you need that.
Yeah.
Similar to FZF in a stylistic way. Did you ever give Crush a legit chance, Jeremy?
Oh, I have. I still use it. I think it's a little bit behind on how it runs agents.
Mm.
But that's one side thing, and I think the other thing is you have to almost make a skill for the agents to use its way of handling file writes and
Mm.
edits. It's a little more sensitive. I don't mind it. I think um it's kind of great in the sense that it really makes sure that the LLM is understanding what it's trying to change.
Hmm.
So if you waltz into there, it's like you'll need to put on more guardrails. I think that's my other part that I found myself consistently doing. But I do think Crush is great, and it's on Aqua. I think it's more sturdy than the others. Like I've seen Claude Code break twice today on my
It's
terminal.
Yeah. It has
And
some
it's like,
refresh bug too, right? Like
yeah, it's
yeah,
very it's pretty rotten. And then the most recent changes to open code started to break the UI, which is really terrible. I had a Python like backend on one of my plugins that just boom just started to destroy the interface, and I had to restart it several times. So so far, Crush rock solid. I haven't seen the interface break unless I really do something dumb.
So, Jeremy, can you tell me what Kimmy is? I thought it was weird. I had never heard of it, but my wife was asking me about it today in relation to Claudebot. So
Yeah,
I
I
had
think
no
that
idea.
this is like so this is me just again I scan over stuff and then I grade what is closest to what I need to work with. So
Yeah.
my preliminary thoughts were it sounds like they've taken the simple Ralph Wiggum loop and they've just put more features around that.
Hmm. What is this
But
loop? You said the Ralph Wiggins?
so have you ever heard of the Ralph loop?
Nope. I've
It's
seen Ralph mentioned, but I didn't investigate. So now you can like, yeah, yeah. So now, okay, rewind, rewind, rewind. Okay, Ralph.
So this is why CloudBot was such a big deal and why Moltbot was such a big deal is so you can set up an AI to or an LLM to run a loop and keep going through tasks and then having a wait cycle. But generally speaking, like it's harder than you think to keep it going on that loop stably.
Hmm.
And oh yeah, thanks, Nana. I'll make this quick here. So it's you can think of the Ralph loop as just like this idea of how can we, as simply as possible, just keep the LLM processing what it has available and keep looking at minimal information so it doesn't go off the rails,
Yeah,
but it actually continues to work on something or it continues to give you feedback or it
yeah,
can enhance its workflow through waiting over time, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyways, so I digress. I think that Kimmy was just trying to it's do its own spin, similar to Ishi, which I think I brought up last week. And so everybody's just kind of like trying to get this continuous loop thing solved because then
Hmm.
your code editor will do more than autocomplete. It will actually, before you've even started typing, just say, "Hey, didn't you make this change last week?" Or, does
Yeah,
this look like
yeah,
something else? And turning it into Clippy, right? But you hopefully not
yeah.
Clippy. All right, it's 3:30.
All right. Well, thank you for that context there, Jeremy, and the conversation, Vez. Great topics today. I am going to wrap up office hours since we are at time. We'll be posting a recording of this to our YouTube channel in just a few hours. So if you want to catch up on anything that we talked here or share with your team, just go to youtube.com/cloudposse where you'll find it. We do offer commercial support on all of our open source. If you use our Terraform modules in any way, if you're using Atmos and you're stuck or your team just wants to move faster, we have lots of different support options available for your size and budget. So check it out at cloudposse.com/support. Here's how you can get engaged with us at Cloud Posse and our community. We have our office hours, which is what you're listening to today. If you haven't registered for that, go to cloudposse.com/office hours where you can enter your email and get an invite to our weekly meeting. We have all our back catalog of YouTube of office hours on our YouTube. And then we have our Slack community as well at cloudposse.com/Slack. If you're interested to sign up for our newsletter, we have one of those as well. It's been pretty infrequent, but we're looking to ramp that up soon as well. So go to cloudposse.com/newsletter for that. With that said, everyone have a great rest of your week. Go try out some of these cool new tools and read up on Ralph. Talk to you next week.